You don't hear the invasion at first. There are no sirens, no explosions, no dramatic speeches from alien emperors broadcast across the stars. What you hear is coughing. It starts quietly, a dry rasp in a hospital hallway, a nurse clearing her throat twice before finishing a sentence, a child breathing just a little too fast while asleep. By the time humanity realizes it's under attack, the enemy has already landed. 60,000 ships, not warships, not carriers or dreadnoughts, plague vessels. They enter Earth's atmosphere like falling ash, unguided, unarmed, allowed through every defense grid because there is no reason to stop them. No heat signatures, no weapon systems, just massive hollow hulls burning on re-entry and breaking apart over oceans, deserts, cities. Each one cracks open like a rotten fruit, and the sky breathes out death. You are awake when the first global alert goes dark. Not silent dark. Every major network drops at once. Emergency frequencies flood with static. Satellites begin to reboot themselves without instruction. Someone somewhere whispers the word containment over an unsecured channel. You don't know it yet, but that whisper will be replayed in history classes for centuries. Because that is the moment the galaxy decides humanity is already dead. The coalition does not declare war. They don't need to. In their records, humans are a category amber species, high adaptability, emotional volatility, moderate technological progression, dangerous if provoked, annoying if ignored. Extermination would be expensive, politically messy, so they choose something cleaner. The plague ships carry 64 engineered pathogens, each tuned to human biochemistry. Viral stacks layered over bacterial vectors. Prion chains wrapped in synthetic proteins designed to slip past immune recognition. They do not target soldiers. They do not target leaders. They target breathing. Within 72 hours, every human on Earth has been exposed. Within 5 days, hospitals are overflowing. Within 8, governments stop pretending they are in control. Within 12, the coalition quietly marks Earth as post-biological. The galaxy moves on. You are not a soldier. You are not a politician. You are not even important. You are a systems analyst working in a biomedical data center that used to process vaccine logistics before the funding was cut. Your office smells like stale coffee and burnt circuitry. Half your coworkers are already homesick. When the first internal memo arrives, it is only 3 words long. Model everything now. So you do. You feed every symptom, every genomic anomaly, every contradictory scan into the system. The AI chokes. The datasets don't match. The diseases don't behave like diseases. They behave like arguments. As if each pathogen was designed by a different mind disagreeing, competing, sabotaging one another. You don't say that part out loud. Not yet. Day 9. The death toll crosses 1 billion. The coalition releases a statement cold, brief, translated into every surviving human language by automated probes drifting just beyond lunar orbit. The Terran extinction event is proceeding within acceptable parameters. Intervention is unnecessary. Further resistance is statistically irrelevant. They don't threaten. They summarize. That is when something changes inside humanity. Not fear. Not rage. Focus. You sit in a sealed lab with 12 others, biologists, virologists, data engineers, people who stopped sleeping days ago. The walls are plastered with projections of molecular structures so dense they look like abstract art. And suddenly, you see it. Not a cure. A flaw. These pathogens aren't cooperating. You say, voice hoarse. They're stepping on each other's replication cycles. Someone laughs weakly. Someone else starts crying. No, you insist. Look, they're optimized individually, but together, they're unstable. The room goes quiet. A senior virologist leans closer. Are you saying they overdesigned it? You swallow. I'm saying they didn't expect us to share data this fast. Day 14. Humanity does something the Coalition never modeled. They stop competing. Pharmaceutical giants open their vaults. Militaries release classified biolab research. Rival nations stream raw medical data to one another without encryption, without redaction, without politics. Every lab becomes a node. Every doctor becomes a researcher. Every survivor becomes a test case. The AI systems once used to optimize ad revenue and stock trades are repurposed overnight to simulate immune responses at planetary scale. The plagues begin to argue louder. Day 18. First success. Not a cure. A stall. A treatment that buys patients 6 more hours of life by forcing 2 pathogens into mutual inhibition. It's ugly. Inefficient. It works. The Coalition notices. Their observation drones adjust orbit. New scans. New probability trees. Earth's extinction curve. Bends. Day 23. You collapse at your terminal and wake up to shouting. They're neutralizing each other. Someone yells. The stacked viruses, when we introduce a controlled immune trigger, they start cannibalizing. You stare at the data. It shouldn't work. It does. Human immune systems, once considered a weakness too emotional, too reactive, are becoming weapons. Overreactions. Cytokine storms turned into targeted assaults. Humanity doesn't fight the plague. It provokes it. Day 30. The Coalition issues a second message. Shorter, less confident. Unexpected resistance noted. Adaptive response probability revised. They do not apologize. But they do not look away anymore. Day 37. The first full cure protocol stabilizes. It's not elegant. It's not safe by Coalition standards. It is human. Messy, aggressive, terrifyingly fast. People begin to recover. Cities breathe again. The dead stop rising. Day 45. Earth is still standing. Every known pathogen has been neutralized, dismantled, or rewritten into harmless remnants. Humanity doesn't just cure the plagues. They archive them. Every flaw, every mistake, every assumption the galaxy made. You watch the final report compile, hands shaking not from fear, but exhaustion. Above Earth, 60,000 empty plague ships drift silently, waiting for an answer. And far beyond the stars, the Coalition begins to understand something they should have learned long ago. They didn't just fail to kill humanity. They taught it. If you want to know what humanity does next, what message we send back to the galaxy, and what happens when the Coalition realizes Earth didn't just survive. The cure is finished. That alone should have been the end of it. History says surviving an extinction event is enough to earn silence, gratitude, maybe a memorial. Humanity expected relief, mourning, a long, quiet rebuilding phase where no one asked questions too loudly. Instead, the sky fills with watchers. Coalition observation arrays tighten their orbits. Deep space listening posts pivot toward Sol. Diplomatic A is that haven't pinned Earth in decades suddenly request status confirmation. They don't congratulate. They verify. Because the data coming out of Earth doesn't make sense. You're in the control chamber when the final global recovery map renders in full color. Green spreads across continents like a living thing, lungs refilling, heart stabilizing, immune systems recalibrated. 45 days. Every known pathogen neutralized. The room doesn't cheer. No one has the energy. Someone just whispers, "We did it," like they're afraid the universe might overhear and object. That's when the alert pings. Incoming transmission, Coalition Science Directorate. No delay. No translation buffer. They want answers now. The Coalition doesn't speak to survivors often. In their framework, survival implies permission. It means the experiment is ongoing. It means the subject is still useful. A holographic figure resolves above the table, tall, segmented, skin refracting light through crystalline layers. Director class. Old. Careful. Humanity, it says. Voice layered with machine precision. Your recovery curve violates all projected outcomes. You don't respond. It continues anyway. Our deployed pathogens were terminal by design. Redundant, adaptive, statistically irreversible. A pause. Explain. You're not the one who steps forward. A woman from Lagos does. A public health coordinator who hasn't slept in 3 days and has stopped pretending to be polite. You assumed, she says, that disease is something we endure. The director's eyes narrow, if that motion can even be called narrowing. And we treat it like a conversation, she continues. Something that can be confused, overstimulated, tricked into contradicting itself. The Coalition being has no response to that. Not immediately. Behind the scenes, humanity is already moving. The cure protocols once sealed for safety are duplicated, stress-tested, and weaponized into something new. Not for attack, for communication. Human immune modeling now runs faster than most Coalition predictive engines. Adaptive algorithms learn at biological speed. Human eyes trained on chaos, not order, begin finding patterns the galaxy never bothered to look for. You discover something unsettling. The plague ships weren't just weapons. They were templates. A-52. A joint task force cracks open the remains of a downed vessel in the Pacific. Inside, beyond the pathogen vaults, they find simulation cores, behavioral projections, entire cultural profiles compressed into probabilistic matrices. One label repeats across thousands of files. Human response. Negligible. They didn't just want Earth dead. They wanted it irrelevant. The Coalition director appears again, this time with others, military observers, ethical overseers. Something that claims to represent post-biological interests. We acknowledge an error, the director says at last. The room stiffens. In deployment scale, it continues. Not in principle. There it is. They still believe they were right. You unleashed 60,000 plague ships on a living world, someone snaps. That's not an error. That's genocide. The director tilts its head. Extinction is a variable. Genocide requires intent. Silence follows. You feel something settle in your chest. Cold, solid. Humanity's reply is not a threat. It's a file transfer. Every pathogen analysis. Every immune exploit. Every method used to dismantle the plague sent raw, unfiltered, and complete. The Coalition systems choke on it. These models are unstable, one observer mutters. They rely on uncontrolled immune escalation. Yes, you say quietly. They do. Such responses would be catastrophic to most species. You nod. We know. That's the moment they understand. Human biology isn't optimized for safety. It's optimized for survival at any cost. Day 60. The Coalition quarantines Earth, not as punishment. As precaution, trade lanes reroute. Diplomatic traffic stalls. Entire sectors classify Sol as a high-risk adaptive zone. Whispers spread through the galaxy. Humans don't just survive plagues. Humans learn from them. Some worlds panic. Others grow curious. A signal breaks quarantine. Unauthorized. Weak. Desperate. A fringe colony species avian, brittle-boned, dying. They were hit by a spillover variant of a coalition bioweapon meant for someone else. The coalition denied involvement. Aid was deemed inefficient. They found Earth anyway. Their message is simple. We know you shouldn't help us. But you survived. The Council debates for 6 minutes. Humanity answers in 4. You watch the first humanitarian ships leave orbit-converted plague vessels, now carrying medical teams, not death. Their hulls still scarred. Their drives imperfect. Symbols painted across them in dozens of languages. We are still learning. The coalition is furious. They warn of contamination, of escalation, of destabilization. Humanity doesn't argue. It cures. The avian colony stabilizes in 11 days. Their immune systems don't just adapt. They improve. Coalition observers log the results with increasing alarm. Human medicine isn't species-specific. It's philosophical. It assumes life will fight back if given the chance. That's when the ultimatum comes. Not from the director, from the coalition assembly itself. Humanity is ordered to cease unauthorized medical intervention beyond sole jurisdiction. Your methods pose an unacceptable evolutionary risk. The subtext is clear. Stop teaching the galaxy how to survive. Or else, you stand in the chamber as Earth prepares its response. Not a fleet, not a weapon, a broadcast. A single sentence translated into every known coalition dialect. You tried to kill us quietly. Now listen carefully. Behind you, scientists queue up data. Cures, proof, offers of aid. Not demands, offers. The galaxy holds its breath. Because for the first time, humanity isn't asking to be left alone. It's stepping forward. And somewhere, deep in coalition archives, an old prediction is quietly updated. Category amber species status. Incorrect reclassified as something far more dangerous. Something that doesn't conquer. Something that changes the rules. If you want to see what happens when the coalition tries to stop that broadcast, when humanity decides what it means to be feared and needed, and when the galaxy realizes the plague ships were only the beginning. Cure frameworks designed to be incomplete on purpose adaptive templates that force local biologies to participate in their own survival. No instructions that say do this. Only here is how we learned. Human medicine stripped of nationalism, of ownership, the opposite of a weapon. The most dangerous thing imaginable. Coalition command finally reacts, not with fleets, with law. They issue an emergency accord invoking ancient clauses written after the last great extinction war. Humanity is hereby designated a class Omega destabilizer. All member species are prohibited from biological data exchange with Sol. Violation will be treated as an act of aggression. The galaxy freezes. Not because they agree, because they're afraid. Their immune systems survive. For the first time, a species cures itself without permission. The galaxy notices. It makes them fragile. You're called into a closed-session human leadership scientific council, and one unexpected presence. No entourage. No projection filters. Just the truth of its form older than your species, built for governance, not humility. You are accelerating uncontrolled adaptation, it says. This destabilizes equilibrium. You look at it for a long moment. Your equilibrium, you reply, required us to die quietly. The director doesn't deny it. That's worse. We could have guided you, it says instead. Integrated your species safely. In time, you almost laugh. You dropped 60,000 plague ships on our planet. A correction, it replies calmly. Your species was approaching unpredictability thresholds. There it is. but the one that turned extinction into a lesson and refused to keep it to itself. Its hull melted down to build something new, not a weapon, a hospital. Humanity was supposed to die quietly,